Hello from sunny Central Florida here at RF Laboratories. My name is David Zima. For the past 25 years, I have enjoyed helping other developers of wireless devices to market by assisting in the design process. This has typically included design, layout, test optimization, and regulatory compliance. In PCB layout, constraints involve just this: the state of being checked, restricted, or compelled to avoid or perform some action. So in other words, making a successful layout for a given design more likely by systematically limiting the design scope before we start. Design constraints set up in layout must start with the manufacturer's recommended design constraints. These are normally provided in an application note for the primary RF IC in consideration. The PCB stack buildup is a great place to start. Power traces with high-speed signal restrictions must be adhered to avoid undesired currents and noise. Current loop prohibitions and critical decoupling capacitor placement and routing are also important application note guidelines to follow from an application note when initially setting up constraints. Perhaps most important is a reference layout of all copper layers. This should be viewed as the golden rule when in doubt. All constraints should be configured with the end goal of producing copper layers as close to the reference example as possible. The manufacturer's app note will often include data collected analytically or empirically that shows important design and performance characteristics. Impedance matching in required areas of the design must be adhered to for optimal results, especially between the radio IC and antenna. Here's a layout where we have functional blocks. The antenna switch block you can see in a purple outline. I'm highlighting the front end block here. And this is a way to group, and something that PADS Professional I love about it. It really has been a great tool in grouping similar nets that have certain parameters that are similar, speeds, time of flight. We have a constraint option in PADS Professional here. If we click our constraint manager, which is already open, and I'm just looking at this one net we have here, it's called RF 900 megahertz. We have via assignment option where we can just select, and we can actually assign a via that would be appropriate for this particular RF trace if we had to go from one layer of the board to the other. Thank you for your attention today. It's my pleasure sharing some of my ideas with my tool of choice, PADS Professional Designer and PADS Professional Layout.